I feel like I should mention that if I was a real YouTuber, I wouldn't be sitting in front of the TV like this. But my roommate is borrowing the book, and I'm not a real YouTuber, so I don't know how to like edit the cover of the book in. So this is what we're doing instead. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This month I read the book Bird Box and then I watched the movie. So I could talk about the book and the movie and what I thought about how the book translated to the movie. So let's hop right into it. For starters, let's talk about the book. The book I really liked. I thought it was super spooky, really kind of had you on the edge of your seat. If I was just rating it as kind of a horror / thriller read, I would probably give it a 5 out of 5 stars. I thought it was really excellent storytelling, and I just really enjoyed it. But overall, I had to say 4 out of 5 stars. I just really like my characters a lot in books. I like relatable characters. I like a lot of character development. And it's not that the characters weren't good or well written, and there definitely was, I thought, for again a horror kind of book, a good bit of character development. But at the end of the day, I just couldn't rate it 5 out of 5 stars. Like, it's not my new favorite read. That's pretty much all I have to say about the book. Let's talk about what I thought about the movie. So the movie as itself, independent of the book, still didn't really love, and we'll get into that as I discuss what's different from the movie than how things are in the book. For starters, the movie really rushed a lot of the opening sequences where we're getting introduced to the characters and we're getting introduced to, I guess I should do a little synopsis. If you don't know about Bird Box, it's basically, you never really find out what it is. I would think some kind of like maybe alien invasion or something, where if people see something, they kind of like go crazy and like they kill themselves, and they sometimes like hurt other people, like they become homicidal as well as suicidal. And so to survive, people end up like blindfolding themselves. They stay inside and like cover all the windows, because if you see whatever these like creatures are, you will die. You'll kill yourself. And the like plot of this story is that the main character, Mallory, has these 2 small children, and she's trying to get them to a safe haven that she knows about down the river, and she has to like journey with these kids in a boat to the safe place. And so like before she's had these kids, like she found out she was pregnant right before the world ended, basically. And so she was living in this house with all these other people, and the book and the movie kind of do a flash back and forth between the sequence of Mallory taking the kids down the river, as well as her living in the house, and how difficult it is for these people to live in close quarters, and like they can't go outside, like the ultimate cabin fever. It was kind of funny to be reading this and watching this movie like in light of COVID. It just makes it a little like adds an extra layer of relatability as far as like they cannot escape one another and they are literally completely stuck inside with each other. But so something different about the movie was that the opening sequence is really rushed. Like in the book, there's kind of like a good amount of build up to show you like what Mallory, who lives with her sister, like what their normal life is like, and then a slow build up to Mallory like finding the house with the other people, and then kind of going into all the different intricate details of their day-to-day lives. And the movie didn't really do that. The movie really rushed the action of like when the book opens, Mallory has literally just found out that she's pregnant. She's only like a couple months along. In the movie, she's like 7 or 8 months along. She's like very pregnant, and it like very quickly goes from Mallory and her sister living a very normal life to Mallory being in a house with all these people. Also, one thing that I thought was kind of weird about the movie was that it added some kind of irrelevant information that Mallory and her sister, I can't even remember her sister's name, but how their parents or their dad, I don't know, bred horses or something about horses, and Mallory's sister like is still in the horse like business, still breeds horses. And that information like never really comes into play later in the movie. And also, since it's only like briefly mentioned in like the first 5 to 10 minutes of the film, it doesn't really give the characters anything extra either. So I thought that was kind of weird. And then the movie also adds in some stuff about Mallory being an artist, which again is like, doesn't really matter to the overall plot. It doesn't really add any depth to her character. So I thought those were both kind of like weird plot points for the movie to throw in. Also, Machine Gun Kelly is in this movie, which I did not know about that. And I didn't even know that he acted. So like the whole time, like any scene that he was in, I was completely removed from the movie because I was just like, what is MGK doing here? Also, I feel like this maybe wasn't the best book to adapt into a film, because in the book there can be a lot of suspense and a lot of horror built up, because it's like written from the perspective of, you know, Mallory and the other characters are bumping around in their blindfolds and they can't see anything. But when you try to translate into film, like there are some parts where it's like cloth over the camera so you can't see what's happening, but again, like that's not very suspenseful. Most of the scenes where they're blindfolded is like filming people in blindfolds like stumbling around outside, and so that's not very suspenseful. It's kind of weird to watch, honestly, just like awkward. Also, I thought that the movie kind of focused on some like commentary like on parenting, because Mallory is raising, like, one child is hers, one is a child of somebody else who's in the house with her, and she raises them and she's like very strict with them and raises them to be very disciplined because the world they live in is so harsh. She needs them to, like, from a very young age follow her instructions or they will die. And the book I felt like was much more matter of fact about this, but the movie tried to make like some weird commentary about maybe Mallory is like too harsh as a parent, and like it kind of seemed like they were trying to like send a message of like, don't be so hard on your kids. But I think that it's fair that Mallory was so hard on the kids, even though they were very young, and we can't really project what we think about parenting in the world how it is now into this like post-apocalyptic world that Mallory is raising these children in. I don't think that that's fair, and I don't think that the movie was right for kind of almost villainizing her for how she treated the kids. Like, I think Mallory was being very harsh and disciplined with them, but it was for their good. Like, she was doing it so they wouldn't die. So make of that what you will. And then the final thing about the movie that just kind of like flopped for me, at the very beginning of the movie, we follow Mallory to her OBGYN appointment. She's getting checked up and the baby's getting checked up. And so you're introduced to her doctor. Then at the very end, should I tag my spoilers? Like, at this point, spoilers. Don't watch this movie. Don't watch this movie. Don't watch this video if you've not read the book or watched the movie and you want either one of them to be a surprise. Duh. But so at the very end of the movie, when Mallory and the kids make it to like the safe haven, they end up running into her doctor, and her doctor is like introduced to the baby and like all that stuff, and it's, I think, supposed to like tie things up very neatly. But to me, it just felt super gimmicky that like that was who like she immediately ran into. Like, they get to this place, they like walk in, they're like, they finally get to relax, and she meets like this familiar face that to me was not super enjoyable. It just felt kind of cliche and unnecessary. Again, like a lot of things that the movie changed, it didn't add anything to the story. It was just like a new, different, not even plot line, just like a random thing that didn't mean anything. So at the end of the day, I highly recommend the book Bird Box if you're at all into thrillers or kind of horror, and you don't mind a little bit of an open-ended and ambiguous ending. The movie, unfortunately, I don't really recommend if you're a fan of anything. I thought it was disappointing overall. But thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day. Bye.